Welcome to The Sleepy Detective, where mysteries of the internet are told in a calm, sleep-friendly voice. In this episode, we explore 10 strange stories born online. These are tales of vanished users, cryptic codes, and digital trails that end in silence. There is no horror here, no loud sounds, just soft narration and quiet curiosity. These are real cases, whispered across forums and comment sections, still unsolved in the corners of the web. So, settle in, close your eyes if you wish, and let the slow rhythm of wonder guide you through this digital twilight. In the quiet corners of the internet, where usernames drift like mist and memory fades faster than truth, a strange digital story began to unfold. It started with a death notice. A short post appeared in the Pic subreddit, shared by a user named 26. The post was brief. It said, "He passed away today." He was 79. He passed away at his desk, looking at Reddit. So ends the life of one of the quiet ones. Rest in peace, my friend. It was unusual, not just because of the way it was written, but because of who it was about. The user being remembered was called Religion Office. He had been active for years. His posts appeared mostly in pics and military subreddits. He commented often about military equipment, weapons, and tactics. He sometimes came across as harsh or stern, but his voice was steady. Some users believed he had real experience in the field. He often spoke with the tone of someone who had lived through more than he ever explained. What set him apart, however, was not just what he said. It was what he ran. Religion of Peace maintained a small website. It was basic, almost bare. Its purpose was simple. It mirrored popular image links from Reddit, so that users with blocked access could still view them. The website was called LakeCityQuietPills.com. The name stood out, not just because it was strange, but because it felt deliberate, like something whispered. Lake City is a real place. The Lake City Army Ammunition Plant is based in Missouri. It produces ammunition for the United States military. The phrase "quiet pills" was curious. Some interpreted it as a metaphor. Others felt it was darker than that, a poetic way to describe bullets, or something more. Months passed. Religion of Peace's account stayed silent. But curious users eventually returned to his website. That is where the mystery deepened. When a user opened the source code of the page, the parts usually hidden from view, they found something strange. A message had been left there, quietly tucked away in the code. It said, "Dispensing Lake City quiet pills to lousy bastards who need permanent rest since 1968. Major contracts closed this week. We thank you for your service." It was hidden, and it was chilling. Words like permanent rest and major contracts did not sound like anything related to image hosting. They sounded like military language, like mercenary work. Users began digging deeper. More hidden messages appeared in the code over time. They included what looked like job postings, requests for people fluent in specific languages, mentions of pickup schedules, references to cities like Amsterdam, Beijing, and Paris. There were phrases such as "cleaning crew needed" and "3 targets" for Friday. It became clear that someone had been using the source code of a public website to post something else, something secret. Reddit users started piecing together timelines. They mirrored every version of the site they could find. Some tracked the IP addresses used by 26 and found they belonged to anonymized proxy servers. There was no name, no registered address, just fragments. Then they went back to the comments of Religion of Peace. Buried in those posts were clues. He often made casual references to the work he did. He once wrote, "I help people sleep when they need it." Another time, he wrote, "Cleaning up after others is quiet work, but someone has to do it." His posts hinted at something cold, something organized. His style was clinical, precise, and often unemotional. Over time, people began to believe that Religion of Peace had been involved in contract work, perhaps even targeted killings. And LakeCityQuietPills.com had not been a simple image mirror. It had been a digital dead drop, a place where instructions were quietly posted in plain sight. Was it real? No one could say for sure, but the language used, the references to Lake City, and the hidden messages in the site's code made many believe it was more than a hoax. It was too specific, too consistent. Users speculated that the operation had military roots. Some believed it was a relic of the Cold War, carried on by a quiet group of former operatives. Others thought it was the work of one man, building a legend with careful precision. But nothing could be confirmed. The more people searched, the less they found. One user noticed that job postings often appeared just before high-profile international events. When a diplomat was suddenly replaced, when a political shift occurred in a small, unfamiliar nation. Some users drew connections. Most were tenuous, but the patterns were there, at least enough to make people wonder. A few independent researchers dug through military records and communications logs from the 1960s and 70s. They looked for anything tied to the phrase "quiet pills." Nothing official was ever found, but in a few unclassified logs from foreign operations, similar phrases appeared. Final Rest was one. Lake Medicine was another. At one point, someone attempted to contact the domain registration email. It bounced back. No reply. Soon after, the site was taken offline. LakeCityQuietPills.com disappeared from the web entirely. The Reddit threads slowed down. 2-6 stopped posting. Journalists wrote short pieces, mostly filled with speculation. Some attempted to find the original hosting providers, but they were protected behind layers of obscured registration. Others believed the entire thing had been an alternate reality game, launched and then abandoned. But there were no credits, no announcements, no hints that it was ever fictional. To this day, no one has come forward to claim responsibility. The site has never returned, and the name, Lake City Quiet Pills, lingers like a phrase from a forgotten play. Strange, precise, eerily quiet. It is one of those internet mysteries that refuses to go away. A whisper beneath the noise. Something that asks a question but never waits for an answer. Let us drift now from that silent webpage to another quiet disappearance, waiting just beyond the screen. In the cold days of January, in the year 2012, a strange image appeared on the internet. No warning, no context, just a message, white text on a black background. Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few who will make it all the way through. It was signed 301. That single image launched one of the most mysterious puzzles in internet history. It began on a message board known for anonymity and chaos. and quickly spread across forums and social platforms. People called it Cicada 3301. The image contained more than it seemed. When users opened it in a text editor, they discovered hidden metadata. Within that, a string of code. Within the code, a cipher. One puzzle led to another, then another. It became clear that this was not a simple game. It was something deeper, more deliberate. The puzzles required extensive knowledge of cryptography, steganography, number theory, classical literature, and even obscure philosophy. References included the poetry of William Blake, Aleister Crowley's esoteric writings, and the works of ancient Greek philosophers. Each solution was buried deep inside layers of complexity. The ciphers varied significantly. Some were based on book codes, others required prime number analysis or rare encryption algorithms, barely known outside specialized circles. As the puzzle continued, it spilled from the digital world into the physical realm. Coordinates appeared in clues, revealing real-world locations, payphones, lampposts, street signs. These physical markers were placed in cities such as Warsaw, Seoul, Sydney, Paris, Miami, Los Angeles, Moscow, and Seattle. At each site, solvers discovered printed posters with cicada images and QR codes meticulously placed in advance. The global scale and precise logistics indicated this wasn't the work of an amateur or single individual. Whoever orchestrated this had significant resources, expertise, and international reach. Online communities mobilized rapidly. Forums buzzed with speculation and collaboration. Users formed teams, cryptographers, historians, linguists, mathematicians, computer scientists, all combining their skills. Each new clue prompted excitement, confusion, and speculation. Comments ranged from exhilaration to frustration. One user posted, "This is incredible, but who has the time or resources to do this?" Another remarked, "WTF? This feels very, very serious. Is anyone else scared about who's behind it?" Puzzles often involved forgotten technologies, outdated message protocols, and obscure literary references. At certain stages, solvers had to use custom-built software, including a specially created Linux operating system. Other clues pointed users to defunct websites, where only archived versions revealed the next steps. Clues even appeared within digital sound files, revealing hidden audio spectrograms when analyzed. Those who solved each stage found themselves invited into exclusive private message groups. From there, public communication ceased abruptly. The wider internet never learned the fate of those selected few. A cryptic final message to the public simply stated, "We want the best, not the followers." Exactly 1 year later, in January 2013, a new puzzle emerged. A fresh image, new riddles, new locations, and renewed global interest. The second puzzle was equally elaborate, and even fewer people successfully navigated to the conclusion. Some solvers noted the puzzles became progressively harder and increasingly required specialized knowledge in programming, encryption, and classical arts. In January 2014, the third and final puzzle appeared. However, this time the challenge ended unexpectedly early. A concluding message thanked participants for their dedication, indicating the search had concluded and the candidates had been found. Then silence followed. Speculation flourished. Theories ran wild. Users pondered whether Cicada was a recruitment tool for government intelligence agencies, private corporations, a secret society, or even a global experiment. the absence of conclusive evidence only deepened the mystery. Online discussions overflowed with skepticism and awe. One prominent forum post expressed the collective sentiment: "This is beyond anything we've seen. If this is just a game, if it's real, I'm almost scared to know who they are." Journalists delved into the mystery. Cybersecurity experts analyzed it. Some pointed out the similarities between Cicada and known recruitment practices of military and intelligence organizations. Others argued it was an elaborate marketing strategy, despite no apparent commercial goal. Investigations led nowhere concrete. Individuals who successfully completed the puzzles were tracked down, but they remained mostly silent. A few cryptic responses hinted at non-disclosure agreements or ongoing projects they couldn't discuss. Public curiosity only intensified. Rumors suggested those selected were involved in secretive projects related to data security, advanced cryptography, or clandestine international operations. In the years following, imitators surfaced, claiming affiliation with Cicada 301. But veterans of the original puzzles quickly dismissed these attempts, noting discrepancies in complexity and execution. Genuine Cicada puzzles ceased entirely. Today, Cicada 301 remains legendary. Forums still revisit the clues regularly. Puzzle enthusiasts continually dissect every available detail, hoping something new might surface. But answers remain elusive. This enduring mystery is a testament to both human ingenuity and curiosity. It is remembered as a digital enigma that challenged, baffled, and inspired countless minds worldwide. Let us drift now from this cryptic puzzle, leaving behind unanswered questions and whispered speculation as we move toward another mystery quietly waiting beyond the illuminated screen. In the quiet expanses of the Nevada desert, under endless skies and shadowed mountains, a solitary man named Veach set out on a hike in the year 2014, searching for something he called the M Cave. It was a place he described in unsettling detail, recounting feelings of dread and fear whenever he drew near it. His story first surfaced on YouTube, in comments beneath another user's video, describing a strange cave shaped like the letter M. Kenny was an experienced hiker and outdoorsman, known online as Snake Bit McGee. He often shared videos of his desert hikes, showcasing the rugged terrain he navigated alone. He was charismatic, adventurous, and undeniably authentic. When he mentioned the mysterious M Cave, his followers took notice. In his comments, Kenny described the cave as unusual and eerie. He claimed it emanated strange vibrations that made his body shake, instilling an overwhelming sense of dread. On his first encounter, the feeling was so intense that he left immediately, unable to enter. After his online description, followers quickly became intrigued and urged him to return, explore further, and document his experience. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny set out again, determined to find and film the cave. He posted a final comment on YouTube saying, "I'm going again tomorrow, and I'll find the cave. I'll bring back footage, so you'll all believe me." With these words, Kenny vanished into the vast Nevada wilderness. Days passed without any updates from Kenny. Concerned friends and family alerted authorities, triggering an extensive search involving volunteers, trained hikers, and rescue teams. Searchers combed through the Sheep Mountains and the surrounding area where Kenny frequently hiked, using helicopters, drones, and ground crews. They discovered his vehicle parked near the trailhead, but no other signs of Kenny emerged. After several days, searchers found his cell phone placed deliberately on the ground near an old mine shaft. The phone was in good condition, undamaged, with no apparent reason for its abandonment. Authorities examined the mine thoroughly, but there were no signs that Kenny had entered or been injured nearby. The internet erupted with theories. Online communities dedicated to mysteries and unsolved disappearances became fixated on the story. People speculated whether the M Cave might have been linked to secret government installations, underground bases, or even paranormal phenomena. Commenters shared their theories openly. "This isn't just a cave," one user wrote. "It's a secret entrance to a government facility. He found something he shouldn't have. I bet the vibrations were military tech," another suggested. "He was probably warned off, and when he didn't listen, he disappeared." Still, others believed Kenny might have stumbled upon something supernatural or inexplicable. Discussions ranged from extraterrestrial interference to dimensional portals hidden within the Nevada desert. The deeper users delved, the wilder theories became, yet none provided clarity. Kenny's family maintained their belief in a simpler explanation. They suggested he had suffered an accident or injury, possibly becoming disoriented or lost in the harsh terrain. However, extensive searches yielded no physical evidence to support this theory. No clothing, gear, or remains were ever found. The desert, which normally leaves behind at least some traces, revealed nothing. As the search efforts dwindled, Kenny's YouTube channel continued to gain attention. People scrutinized his videos, hoping to spot missed details or hidden messages. Frame-by-frame analysis led nowhere, but online speculation flourished. Commenters expressed a mix of fascination, concern, and remorse. "Maybe we shouldn't have encouraged him," one user wrote. "We pushed him too far. Does anyone else feel responsible for this?" Another asked, echoing a sense of collective guilt. Months became years, and Kenny Veach's disappearance remained an unsettling mystery. The legend of the M Cave took on a life of its own, inspiring adventurous individuals to undertake their own expeditions into the Sheep Mountains. Some reported strange occurrences, hearing inexplicable sounds, or experiencing feelings of unease similar to those Kenny described. But no one definitively located the cave Kenny had spoken of, awaiting discovery. Over time, new theories emerged. Some believed Kenny had purposely vanished, seeking solitude or escape from personal issues. Others theorized that he had accidentally discovered classified military testing grounds, which led to his mysterious disappearance. Online forums brimmed with passionate debates, fueled by both skepticism and belief. The line between plausible and improbable blurred significantly. Several documentary teams and independent researchers visited the Nevada desert, hoping to unravel the mystery. Their expeditions documented the harsh landscape, showcasing how easily one could become lost or disoriented. Yet none could provide evidence regarding Kenny's ultimate fate or the existence of the M Cave. Despite extensive coverage and widespread fascination, Kenny's story remained unresolved. Authorities classified Kenny Veach as a missing person, acknowledging he might have encountered a tragic end. But with no physical evidence, the case remained open-ended. Kenny Veach became an internet legend, symbolizing both the thrill and danger of unbridled curiosity. His enigmatic final hike and the elusive M Cave continue to captivate online communities, drawing people to the harsh Nevada wilderness in search of answers that may never come. Today, adventurers still wander the Sheep Mountains, hoping to discover the truth. Yet, the wilderness guards its secrets closely. Kenny Veach's disappearance endures as a stark reminder of the fragile line separating adventure from tragedy. Let us drift now from the quiet sands of the Nevada desert, leaving behind unanswered questions as we journey toward another mystery quietly. In the quiet corners of the early internet, in the year 2000, a user named John Titor appeared on online message boards and chat rooms with an extraordinary claim. He stated he was a time traveler from the year 2036, sent back in time on a military mission to retrieve a specific piece of computer hardware crucial to future survival. This astonishing declaration quickly captured the imagination of internet users worldwide. John Titor's messages first appeared on obscure forums dedicated to discussions of the paranormal, UFOs, and conspiracy theories. Initially met with skepticism, his detailed accounts and convincing explanations soon drew widespread attention. He patiently answered questions from curious individuals, providing extensive details about his time travel device, his personal mission, and the dystopian future from which he had come. According to Titor, the future was bleak. In his timeline, the United States had undergone a devastating civil war, resulting in widespread societal collapse. Infrastructure had deteriorated significantly, leaving the population fragmented into smaller communities relying on self-sustained living. He described life in 2036 as simple but challenging, emphasizing the importance of practical skills and community reliance. The main purpose of his journey back in time, Titor explained, was to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer manufactured in 1975. This particular model allegedly contained a unique feature not documented publicly, allowing it to translate outdated programming languages crucial to resolving technological issues in the future. His detailed description of the computer's hidden capabilities intrigued even experts familiar with the hardware, lending an air of credibility to his story. Users challenged Titor to provide evidence of his authenticity, to which he responded calmly and methodically. He shared complex diagrams and descriptions of his time travel machine, which he claimed operated based on gravitational manipulation and microsingularities. These details were intricate, scientifically plausible to many enthusiasts, and meticulously consistent throughout his online interactions. Skeptics questioned Titor about the paradoxes typically associated with time travel, asking how his presence in the past might alter the future. His explanations leaned heavily on theoretical physics, particularly the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. According to Titor, his travel created alternate timelines, ensuring the original future remained unchanged. This explanation helped him avoid contradictions and added further depth to his account. Titor's predictions were not confined solely to technological or theoretical discussions. He made several specific predictions about near-future events. He described escalating political tensions, leading to civil unrest in the United States, environmental disasters, and societal upheaval. Some of his predictions included vague references to conflicts and catastrophic events, which sparked debate among his followers about their accuracy and plausibility. Online communities became obsessed with validating or debunking John Titor's claims. Forums buzzed with speculation, discussion threads extending into hundreds of pages filled with passionate debates. Users scrutinized every detail, comparing his statements against historical records, scientific theories, and current events. The level of detail and consistency in Titor's narrative drew both admiration and suspicion. As suddenly as he appeared, John Titor disappeared from the online world in early 2001. His final message was brief and cryptic, thanking users for their curiosity and support, hinting vaguely at the completion of his mission and his imminent return to the future. His sudden silence only intensified public fascination. Over subsequent years, numerous efforts were made to trace Titor's identity, hoping to reveal a hoax or confirm authenticity. Journalists, investigators, and enthusiasts dug deeply, analyzing his writings for linguistic clues or historical inconsistencies. Several individuals claim to have solved the mystery, alleging Titor was a cleverly crafted persona by various online pranksters or amateur science fiction authors. Yet, none of these claims provided definitive proof, leaving Titor's true identity unresolved. Several aspects of Titor's narrative resonated eerily with subsequent real-world developments, further fueling speculation about the legitimacy of his claims. Instances of social unrest, growing political polarization, and environmental concerns appeared consistent with his descriptions of a troubled future. While many dismissed these correlations as coincidental, others saw them as partial vindication of Titor's warnings. Years later, the legacy of John Titor persists. He remains one of the most enduring legends of the internet age, continually referenced in discussions about time travel, alternate realities, and online mythology. Academic articles, documentaries, and podcasts frequently revisit his story, analyzing its cultural significance and lasting impact. Titor's tale also serves as a cautionary narrative about humanity's collective anxiety regarding the future. His detailed accounts of societal collapse and environmental ruin reflect deep-seated fears prevalent in contemporary culture. His portrayal of time travel as both plausible and consequential sparked significant debate regarding the ethical implications and theoretical possibilities surrounding the manipulation of time. Today, forums and communities dedicated to John Titor's story remain active. New generations discover his posts, becoming captivated by the mystery and complexity of his narrative. Enthusiasts continue to debate the authenticity of his claims, carefully analyzing his original messages for overlooked clues or hidden meanings. The question remains open-ended, inviting continuous interpretation and engagement. John Titor's legacy endures as a testament to the power of storytelling, collective imagination, and the enduring human desire to understand our place in time and reality. His enigmatic presence serves as a compelling reminder of the thin line separating fact from fiction, belief from skepticism, and past from future. Let us drift now from John Titor's enigmatic tale, leaving behind unanswered questions and speculation as we move toward another quiet mystery waiting patiently in the digital shadows. In the early days of the internet, long before social media and widespread online culture, an obscure mystery emerged quietly and without explanation. In 1996, peculiar messages began appearing in various online forums and newsgroups, particularly within discussions dedicated to cryptic phenomena, conspiracy theories, and advanced computing. These strange posts shared one defining feature: they seemed entirely nonsensical. At first, these messages went largely unnoticed. After all, the early internet was a place of experimentation and novelty, where users frequently encountered oddities and unusual behavior. But gradually, attentive users began noticing patterns within the bizarre postings. These messages often carried the peculiar subject line, Markovian Parallax, Denigrate. Each post contained lengthy sequences of seemingly random words and phrases, lacking clear meaning or structure. The language was complex and chaotic, featuring fragments of technical jargon, obscure literary references, and disconnected vocabulary. Users were baffled by the content, unsure if they were seeing intentional code, spam, or something else entirely. For many, the mystery was merely a curiosity, quickly forgotten amidst the rapidly evolving digital landscape. Yet, a small community grew intrigued. Users, familiar with encryption, cryptography, and computer science noted that these messages resembled outputs generated by Markov chain algorithms. A Markov chain, named after Russian mathematician Andrei Markov, is a stochastic model capable of producing random text based on probabilities derived from a set of data. But even among experts, there was disagreement. Some insisted the posts were simply automated gibberish, while others suspected something deeper, possibly encrypted messages hiding sensitive information. As speculation grew, attempts to decode the messages intensified. Amateur and professional cryptographers worked diligently, applying various decoding methods and analyzing patterns. But the chaotic nature of the text made decryption challenging. No clear cipher or conventional encryption method yielded understandable results. The Markovian Parallax, Denigrate, appeared resistant to every known method of analysis, amplifying the intrigue. The mysterious messages stopped as suddenly as they began. After several months of sporadic postings, the author or automated system responsible fell silent. Despite the cessation, fascination only deepened. Users began examining archival copies of the original posts, cataloging them meticulously, and looking for any overlooked clues. Years later, renewed interest emerged. In the early 2000s, internet sleuths revisited the Markovian Parallax Denigrate, finding a tenuous connection between the postings and a user named Susan Lindauer, later known as a political activist and journalist involved in controversy. Lindauer had participated in early internet communities, prompting speculation that she might be connected to the cryptic messages. But no definitive evidence emerged to substantiate these claims, and Lindauer herself never publicly addressed the topic. Additional theories proliferated online. Some speculated the messages were an elaborate prank, intended purely to confuse and mystify early internet users. Others believed it was a covert communication method, possibly employed by espionage agencies or hacker collectives to transmit coded information disguised as random text. Discussions proliferated in forums dedicated to cryptography, espionage, and internet folklore, but no consensus ever formed. Despite extensive examination, no credible decoding has ever emerged. Each promising lead ended inconclusively. The Markovian Parallax, Denigrate, remained stubbornly resistant to interpretation. Researchers eventually proposed that the postings might have been an early form of automated spam, or even the result of an early artificial intelligence experiment designed to test natural language generation capabilities. The lack of resolution contributed to the lasting legacy of the Markovian Parallax, Denigrate. Today, it stands as one of the internet's oldest unsolved puzzles, symbolizing a particular era of digital experimentation and mystery. Forums and articles occasionally revisit the phenomenon, introducing new generations of online users to its perplexing narrative. Interest in the case persists, prompting occasional waves of investigation as modern cryptographic methods and technologies emerge. Enthusiasts attempt contemporary analytical techniques, machine learning algorithms, and advanced data processing tools, hoping to unravel the long-standing mystery. Yet the chaotic texts continue to defy comprehension, preserving their enigmatic allure. The Markovian Parallax, Denigrate, occupies a unique position in internet history. It illustrates humanity's enduring fascination with mystery, demonstrating the allure of unsolvable puzzles. It also highlights the early internet's atmosphere, characterized by anonymity, experimentation, and an underlying sense of unlimited possibility. No definitive answer has ever emerged, leaving the Markovian Parallax, Denigrate, as an enduring enigma, a silent reminder of the vast unknowns that still permeate our digital landscape. The phenomenon has become a part of online mythology, frequently cited as an example of unresolved internet lore, an invitation to curiosity and imagination. Let us drift now from the cryptic echoes of early online mystery, moving quietly toward another enigmatic tale, waiting patiently in the hidden corners of the digital world. In the anonymous corridors of the online message board known simply as 4chan in the year 2016, a user emerged who went by the enigmatic name Obsidian. Unlike many ordinary posters, Obsidian captured immediate attention through an extraordinary claim that they were trapped in a time loop, reliving the same day repeatedly, unable to escape. Obsidian's first post was unassuming, appearing on one of the board's threads dedicated to bizarre or unexplained experiences. Their tone was genuine, tinged with a quiet desperation that resonated deeply with readers. Obsidian described waking up on the same day repeatedly, aware of everything that had previously occurred, but utterly powerless to change events meaningfully or escape the cycle. Initially, 4chan users dismissed Obsidian's claims as just another prank or elaborate fiction. After all, the forum was renowned for trolling, fabrications, and internet legends. But something about Obsidian's narrative felt different. It lacked the usual dramatic flair and over-the-top elements common to fabricated tales. Instead, the user described their experience with a stark, almost mundane detail that gradually became profoundly unsettling. Each new message from Obsidian detailed attempts to alter small events, desperate to break free from their repeated reality. They spoke of trying to change conversations, taking different routes to work, avoiding certain interactions altogether. Yet, no matter what small adjustments they made, the day invariably reset, and they awoke again at the precise moment the loop began. Obsidian's posts soon gained traction, drawing a growing audience captivated by the eerie realism and emotional depth of their descriptions. Users began offering suggestions, proposing increasingly complex strategies to break the loop. The community engaged actively, some earnestly attempting to help, while others observed the unfolding drama as a strange digital theater. The psychological impact on Obsidian became increasingly apparent. Their posts evolved from curiosity and experimentation to frustration, despair, and emotional exhaustion. The relentless repetition began eroding their mental state. They described vividly their mounting dread of awakening each morning, facing the same immutable circumstances. Obsidian's writing conveyed an intense claustrophobia, the suffocating awareness of living eternally in an unchanging cycle. Some followers became deeply invested in the narrative, questioning Obsidian intensely. They demanded intricate details about the loop, attempting to pinpoint inconsistencies or find solutions. Obsidian complied meticulously, providing exhaustive descriptions of people, locations, conversations, even weather conditions. Remarkably, their responses remained consistent, free of contradictions, lending credibility to their improbable story. As interest grew, skeptics and believers alike scrutinized Obsidian's posts, debating the authenticity and meaning behind their experience. Theories proliferated rapidly. Some speculated Obsidian was trapped in a form of quantum anomaly or parallel universe phenomenon, referencing theoretical physics and metaphysical concepts. Others proposed a more psychological explanation, suggesting a dissociative state or severe mental breakdown. Still others argued it was a sophisticated form of performance art or storytelling, skillfully executed to capture the collective imagination of the 4chan community. Regardless, the story continued to fascinate thousands, who eagerly awaited each new update from the increasingly desperate and disillusioned Obsidian. Several users attempted real-world interventions, trying to identify or locate Obsidian based on provided details. They analyzed geographic references, dates, and events, hoping to pinpoint the user's location or identity. Despite these efforts, no concrete leads emerged. Obsidian remained an elusive figure, hidden entirely behind their online anonymity. The posts continued for weeks, maintaining relentless consistency. Obsidian detailed increasingly desperate measures to end the cycle, including extreme actions, yet nothing altered their reality. The emotional toll was evident, and the community began expressing genuine concern for the posters' mental well-being. Then, abruptly, Obsidian stopped posting. Their final message was brief, resigned, indicating exhaustion and acceptance of their circumstances. They simply stated they had tried everything possible, thanking users for their suggestions and expressing sadness at their inability to escape the endless cycle. With that, Obsidian vanished into digital silence. The community reacted strongly to Obsidian's sudden disappearance. Some users speculated the abrupt ending was part of the narrative, designed for dramatic impact. Others worried sincerely about the person behind the story, concerned for their mental health or physical safety. Attempts to reach Obsidian through direct messages or appeals went unanswered. The user's identity remained unknown, their story unresolved. In the following years, Obsidian's tale became an enduring internet legend. New users continued discovering archived threads and analyzing the detailed accounts. The mystery sparked ongoing debates about its authenticity, purpose, and meaning. Academics and cultural commentators cited Obsidian's posts as a striking example of online narrative power, blurring lines between fiction and reality, anonymity and identity. Occasionally, individuals emerged claiming to be Obsidian or having additional knowledge about the situation. These claims, however, lacked credibility, easily dismissed by community veterans familiar with the original posts. The authenticity and sincerity of the initial Obsidian postings were never effectively replicated or convincingly disproven. Obsidian's story occupies a unique place in internet folklore, symbolizing profound existential anxiety, loneliness, and the universal human fear of repetition and meaninglessness. It also highlights the internet's capacity to amplify and explore deep psychological experiences collectively. To this day, discussions of Obsidian's narrative surface periodically, drawing both seasoned internet users and newcomers into contemplative conversation. Forums and videos frequently revisit the story, dissecting it in search of overlooked details, hoping to uncover new clues or interpretations. Yet, Obsidian remains a quiet enigma, their fate uncertain, their reality forever ambiguous. Obsidian's time loop stands as a haunting narrative, enduring in the collective memory of internet culture. It symbolizes human vulnerability, resilience, and our profound desire for understanding and connection amid inexplicable circumstances. Let us drift now from the endless repetition of Obsidian's digital nightmare, moving quietly toward another enigmatic tale waiting patiently in the hidden corners of the digital world. In early 2020, a peculiar channel surfaced on YouTube titled simply, I Am Sophie. At first glance, the channel seemed innocuous, featuring the extravagant lifestyle of a wealthy young woman named Sophie, self-proclaimed queen of YouTube. Sophie's videos depicted her opulent life filled with luxury fashion, lavish mansions, private jets, and glamorous parties. Initially dismissed as another shallow influencer showcasing excessive wealth, Sophie's channel soon revealed itself to be something far darker and infinitely more complex. Early viewers found Sophie's channel typical of luxury vlogging. Sophie portrayed herself as affluent, confident, and somewhat oblivious to ordinary life struggles. Her initial uploads involved mansion tours, designer clothing hauls, and interactions with other similarly privileged influencers. But beneath this superficial veneer lurked hints of unsettling strangeness, subtle enough initially to evade detection. As the videos continued, viewers began noticing odd inconsistencies and unusual moments interspersed within her glamorous content. Certain clips featured peculiar glitches, distorted audio, and unsettling imagery flashing briefly across the screen. Initially disregarded as simple editing errors or stylistic quirks, these anomalies gradually became more overt and disturbing. The channel's tone shifted dramatically as viewers delved deeper into its content. Videos began to incorporate mysterious, unsettling characters, notably a young woman named Laura, whose demeanor starkly contrasted with Sophie's confident extravagance. Laura appeared shy, withdrawn, and increasingly anxious, adding layers of confusion and intrigue to the narrative. Users debated whether Laura represented an alternate persona, a foil to Sophie's lavish facade, or something far darker. The strange visuals intensified over time. Sophie's uploads started featuring surreal and unsettling scenarios, including mysterious shadowy figures appearing briefly behind Sophie, cryptic messages hidden within subtitles, and eerie soundtracks containing barely audible whispers and distorted voices. Viewers meticulously analyzed each frame, decoding hidden meanings embedded within the video's carefully orchestrated ambiguity. Online communities dedicated to unraveling the mystery quickly emerged. Reddit threads, Discord servers, and YouTube comment sections buzzed with speculation, theories, and analysis. Enthusiasts collaborated to interpret the hidden messages, scrutinize cryptic symbolism, and dissect complex clues embedded throughout the videos. Theories ranged widely, suggesting possibilities from supernatural phenomena to psychological horror narratives, or even sophisticated commentary on influencer culture and superficiality. As the narrative progressed, Sophie's luxurious life gradually unraveled, replaced by increasingly disturbing and surreal imagery. Laura's presence became more prominent, hinting at deeper psychological undertones involving identity, control, and authenticity. Viewers theorized Sophie's existence itself was fabricated, an artificial construct exploited or controlled by unseen forces. The storyline suggested manipulation, surveillance, and loss of self-awareness, themes resonating deeply with the audience's unease toward digital authenticity and identity manipulation. At the ARGE's height, the channel released videos that explicitly broke the fourth wall, directly addressing viewers, urging them to question the nature of reality, identity, and online presence. The narrative suggested an ominous entity behind the scenes, orchestrating events and manipulating characters for unknown purposes. Cryptic messages hinted at hidden narratives involving exploitation, obsession, and the dark side of influencer culture. The I and Sophie ARG extended beyond YouTube, involving multiple social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and mysterious websites linked subtly within video descriptions. Each platform added layers of complexity, providing puzzle pieces necessary to understand the larger narrative. Participants were required to engage actively across these platforms, unraveling ciphers, decoding images, and piecing together fragments of information scattered throughout. The puzzles themselves were intricate and challenging, involving cryptographic codes, hidden links, QR codes embedded in videos, and elaborate audio-visual puzzles. The creators employed advanced techniques, including steganography, distorted audio requiring spectral analysis, and subtle visual clues only discernible through detailed frame-by-frame scrutiny. Each solved puzzle uncovered additional narrative depth, revealing disturbing truths beneath the initial surface glamour. Community engagement intensified dramatically, leading to passionate online forums filled with detailed analysis, theories, and discussions. Users shared meticulous notes, screenshots, audio analyses, and collaborative documents. Yet, despite extensive cooperation, the ARGA's narrative maintained deliberate ambiguity, never fully confirming nor denying interpretations, sustaining constant tension and uncertainty among participants. Throughout this exploration, the creators remained anonymous, offering no explanation or acknowledgement beyond the fictional narrative itself. The absence of real-world commentary or clarification heightened the intrigue and speculation. Enthusiasts continued dissecting new uploads obsessively, hungry for additional clues and narrative resolutions. Eventually, uploads became sporadic, further fueling speculation and anxiety among participants. After prolonged silence, the channel briefly resurfaced, posting enigmatic, increasingly cryptic videos before vanishing again. Users debated whether the ARG had concluded intentionally or whether external factors prompted its abrupt end. The uncertainty left behind intensified the community's fascination, embedding the experience deeply within participants' memories. Even after the channel's apparent conclusion, its impact lingered profoundly. Cultural critics cited the ARG as a powerful commentary on digital identity, influencer culture, and societal obsession with wealth and appearance. Academic discussions analyzed the ARGE's sophisticated narrative techniques, psychological manipulation, and effective audience engagement strategies. The experience highlighted humanity's vulnerability to constructed realities and raised unsettling questions about authenticity, manipulation, and identity within digital spaces. I Am Sophie remains a significant example within ARG history, demonstrating the profound impact interactive storytelling can achieve. Its legacy continues, studied and referenced within discussions of digital culture, narrative experimentation, and psychological exploration. Forums and online communities periodically revisit the ARG dissecting archived content, searching persistently for overlooked details or unresolved clues. The I Am Sophie ARG persists as an unsettling narrative, a digital ghost story, haunting the collective imagination. Its unresolved mysteries and profound thematic explorations symbolize modern anxieties surrounding digital identity, authenticity, and societal values. Participants continue reflecting on their experiences, haunted by lingering uncertainties, forever questioning the blurred boundaries between reality and fiction, identity and persona. Let us drift now from the disquieting shadows of I Am Sophie, leaving behind unresolved mysteries as we journey toward another digital enigma awaiting discovery in the quiet corners of the online world. In the late 2000s, a peculiar story began spreading across internet forums and blogs. It centered on a website called This Man, which claimed that thousands of people across the globe had dreamt of the same unfamiliar face, a man with dark eyes, heavy eyebrows, and a slightly receding hairline. He was not famous, not known in public way, yet countless people from vastly different countries and cultures reported seeing him in their dreams. They all recognized the same face. The image of the man, simple and expressionless, was accompanied by a strange message on the website. It stated that the phenomenon had been discovered in 2006 by a well-known psychiatrist in New York. One of his patients had drawn the face of a man who appeared repeatedly in her dreams, even though she claimed never to have met him. When the psychiatrist left the drawing on his desk, another patient recognized the man as someone who had also appeared in his own dreams. The doctor then sent the sketch to colleagues, and reports began trickling in from patients all over the world, each claiming to have seen the same man. The website, registered under the domain thisman.org, was minimalistic and clinical in tone. It featured the eerie portrait, a description of the supposed phenomenon, and a growing collection of testimonies from individuals who claimed to have seen the man in their sleep. These dream accounts were varied and disturbing. Some described comforting encounters, others terrifying. In one account, the man gave cryptic advice. In another, he simply stood and stared. Occasionally, he was silent. Other times, he spoke in riddles. He appeared in a multitude of scenarios, from train stations and rooftops to childhood homes and empty cities. The phenomenon spread quickly. The image was reposted on blogs, message boards, and social media. Reddit users debated its authenticity. Some insisted they had seen the man themselves. Others were skeptical, suggesting that the mere exposure to the image could cause suggestive dream implantation. If a person sees a strange face enough times, perhaps their brain files it away and inserts it into a dream. But this theory could not explain reports from before the image went viral. Some users claimed to have dreamed of the man years before the website ever appeared. Theories soon blossomed. Some believed the man was a shared figure from the collective unconscious, a psychological archetype manifesting in dreams across human minds. Others speculated he was a spiritual being, capable of traveling between dreams. More grounded explanations proposed that the whole story was an elaborate hoax or viral marketing campaign. Some even suggested the entire narrative was designed as a psychological experiment to observe mass suggestion. The unsettling power of the man's face lay in its ambiguity. It was not uniquely handsome or particularly odd. It had the strange quality of being simultaneously familiar and forgettable. Viewers often reported a feeling of recognition, even when they had never seen it before. The combination of the face and the testimonials created a persistent unease, as though something important was just out of reach. Investigators and journalists began to look into the origins of the website. They traced its domain registration to Andrea Natella, an Italian marketer and sociologist known for his work in guerrilla communication and controversial media art. Natella had previously created surreal public campaigns designed to provoke emotional and philosophical responses. In interviews, he did not confirm or deny whether this man was one of his creations. He simply stated that the project was about investigating the power of suggestion and exploring how belief spreads online. As the image circulated, new stories began to emerge. People described intricate dream sequences where the man guided them through surreal landscapes. In one, he appeared beside a glowing red staircase that spiraled down into a forest of mirrors. In another, he took someone by the hand and walked silently through an abandoned city filled with ticking clocks. These dreams were haunting in their detail and remarkably similar across different storytellers. One woman described how the man showed her a photograph of herself as a child, though it was one she had never seen before. Another man dreamt of flying over the ocean with the man at his side, only to wake up and find salt water on his pillow. A few people even claimed the man gave them messages, phrases, or numbers they did not understand. Some of these were later interpreted as dates, coordinates, or symbolic patterns. A small group of users began tracking the locations, trying to piece together a larger message. Forums formed dedicated to solving the puzzle. A growing subset of the community believed the Dream Man was not simply a figment of the mind, but something external. Some speculated he was a shared visitor, an entity who crossed into the subconscious, a being with no physical form, but with access to dreams. He was, to them, a kind of digital specter, woven into the very code of the Internet's collective imagination. Digital artists began rendering him in different forms. In some versions, he was aged and worn, a ghost with hollow eyes. In others, he looked youthful and calm, almost serene. He became a character in video games and online fiction, a placeholder for the unknowable. His image appeared in short films, augmented reality installations, and even a graphic novel. Always the same face, reshaped slightly by the creator, but instantly recognizable. Despite its artistic reach, many were still trying to find the truth. A few anonymous users on forums, like the paranormal and dream communities, claimed to have inside information. One said the man was part of a decades-old classified experiment called Project Nocturne, supposedly run by an obscure psychological research wing in Eastern Europe. Another claimed that the face was created through a reverse-engineered dream synthesis program from the early 2000s. None of these claims were verified, and many dismissed them as role-play or fiction. Still, the coincidences mounted. A journalist attempted to find real-world evidence, linking people who had seen the man, and discovered that several unrelated witnesses lived within close proximity to defunct Cold War listening stations. Another theory posited that the image was somehow embedded subliminally in old television signals, left to fester and emerge in dreams decades later. The more people looked, the deeper the rabbit hole seemed to go. Years later, the conversation has not ended. New dream sightings continue to appear. In a popular thread from just last year, a teenager in Brazil posted a sketch of a man she had seen in her dreams every week since she was 8. The face was identical. She had never seen the website. Her parents confirmed she had drawn the face years earlier without context. The thread gained thousands of comments. Some shared similar experiences. Others tried to debunk her claim, but many simply stared at the image and wrote, "I know this man." Psychologists maintain that the phenomenon is most likely a result of collective suggestion and the malleable nature of memory. When an image is seen enough times, it can implant itself into the subconscious. Dreams, after all, are shaped by fleeting thoughts and impressions. But others argue that the uniformity and emotional consistency of the reports suggest something more profound. In the end, no one knows who the man is or where the image truly came from. The site remains online, quiet and unchanged. Its white background, the black and white sketch, the long list of dreams. Each dream entry like a fragment of a collective hallucination, woven from pixels and longing. The Dream Man is not terrifying in the way of monsters or shadows. He is terrifying because he feels real. Because so many have seen him without knowing why. Because he exists just enough to question everything we think we know about dreams, memory, and suggestion. He may never appear in your dreams, but once you have seen his face, it is difficult to forget. And if one night you do find him waiting, just beyond the walls of sleep, you may wake wondering whether he found you or whether he had always been there. Let us drift now from this collective mirage and wander toward the next enigma, deeper still in the tangled corridors of the Internet. Let us now drift toward one of the most widely discussed and haunting Internet age mysteries. a case that unfolded in real time, captured by security footage and magnified by the digital gaze of millions. This is the story of Elisa Lam, a young student whose disappearance and tragic fate became an enduring puzzle. Elisa Lam was born in 1991 in Vancouver, Canada. A student at the University of British Columbia, she had taken time off from school and planned a solo trip through California in early 2013. Along the way, she shared her experiences on social media and her personal blog. Her writing was candid, poetic, and often reflective. She also spoke openly about her struggles with mental health. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, and she wrote about these conditions not for sympathy, but to connect with others who might feel the same way. Her journey took her to San Diego, Los Angeles, and eventually to a historic hotel in downtown Los Angeles, known as the Cecil Hotel. Built in the 1920s, the Cecil was once a symbol of glamour. But by the early 2000s, it had gained a darker reputation. Known for a long history of violent deaths, crime, and tragedy, the hotel was located near Los Angeles' Skid Row and had become a magnet for unsettling occurrences. It was, in many ways, a character in Elisa's story. Elisa checked into the Cecil on January 28, 2013. She was placed in a shared room on the 5th floor, but after complaints from her roommates about strange behavior, she was moved to a private room. Hotel staff noted she was friendly and curious, but also sometimes erratic. She visited local bookstores, took photographs around the city, and stayed in touch with her family daily. On January 31st, the calls stopped. Elisa's parents, who had been speaking with her each night, became worried. When she missed her checkout date on February 1st and failed to return home, they contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. Officers searched the hotel but found no trace of her. Flyers with Elisa's face were posted throughout the area, and her case gained attention across social media. But it was not until the release of a certain piece of footage that the story took a far more mysterious turn. The Cecil Hotel had security cameras in its elevators. On February 13th, LAPD released a video clip showing Elisa inside one of those elevators. The footage was just under 4 minutes long, but it would become one of the most analyzed and debated videos on the internet. In the video, Elisa appears to be acting erratically. She enters the elevator and presses several buttons. She stands to the side, steps forward, peeks out of the elevator door, then steps back inside. She flattens herself against the wall, then moves her hands in strange, almost ritualistic gestures. At times, she appears frightened or confused. She steps in and out of the elevator, as though checking to see if someone is following her. The elevator doors do not close. Then, abruptly, she walks away, and the doors finally shut. The video went viral. Millions of viewers speculated on what they had seen. Some believed she was being chased. Others thought she was having a mental health episode. More fringe theories suggested supernatural involvement or a cover-up. Every frame was picked apart. Viewers claimed the video had been tampered with. That time stamps had been edited. That parts had been removed. Still, nothing conclusive emerged. In the following days, guests at the hotel began to complain about low water pressure and odd-tasting tap water. Maintenance staff investigated the rooftop water tanks. On February 19th, they opened one of the tanks and made a horrifying discovery. Elisa's remains were found inside. She was no longer alive. Her clothes were floating nearby. There were no signs of external trauma, no drugs or alcohol in her system. The autopsy ruled her passing as accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder listed as a significant condition. But the mystery only deepened. How had Elisa ended up in the tank? The tanks were large, covered, and not easily accessible. A ladder led to the top, but the lids were heavy. There were questions about how she could have opened and closed one without assistance. The roof was also supposedly alarmed and access restricted. Staff claimed that an alarm would sound if someone went up, but police found no indication of forced entry. The case was officially closed, but online, it never truly ended. The elevator video became an internet artifact. Forums, subreddits, YouTube channels, and podcasts all examined the footage. People tried to sync the timing of her button presses with the elevator's behavior. Some suggested she was playing the so-called elevator game, a supposed urban legend involving travel to another dimension. Others compared her gestures to signs of possession or distress. In the midst of speculation, Elisa's digital presence became part of the mystery. Her Tumblr blog, which remained active for months after her passing due to queued posts, created the illusion that she was still speaking. Her words, often poetic and melancholic, were shared widely. Quotes like, "You're always haunted by the idea. You're wasting your life," took on eerie new meanings. Critics of the viral obsession pointed out that much of the speculation ignored the realities of mental health. Elisa's family had been open about her diagnosis, and her own writing made clear she had faced significant internal challenges. Some mental health professionals suggested the video showed signs of disorientation, possibly caused by a misbalance in medication. But the internet favored mystery over medical explanation. The Cecil Hotel itself became a character in the ongoing saga. Its past was dug up and displayed. Serial killers had stayed there. Tragedies had occurred there. It had been the subject of horror stories and paranormal claims. Documentaries were made. Urban legends were born. The line between fact and fiction blurred. In 2021, a streaming series revisited the case. It interviewed hotel staff, investigators, and experts, and tried to provide closure. But even then, viewers continued to hold on to questions. The mystery had taken on a life of its own. Today, Elisa Lam's story is still told, not just as a tale of tragedy, but as a cautionary example of how the internet can amplify mystery and drown out truth. Her case reminds us how easy it is to see what we want to see, especially through the lens of fear, curiosity, and the unknown. Let us drift now from the silent halls of a haunted hotel and descend deeper into the digital abyss where stories flicker and vanish like dreams in the dark. Let us drift now from the shadows of cryptic websites and secret codes into the clear light of day to a real airport, a missing man, and a case that remains one of the most unsettling disappearances caught on camera. This is the story of Lars Mittank. Lars was a 28-year-old German man, an ordinary individual by all accounts. He was a technical student from the town of Itzehoe in northern Germany. Tall, slim, with short blonde hair and a reserved demeanor, Lars was not known for wild behavior or paranoia. That made what happened in the summer of 2014 all the more baffling. In late June, Lars traveled with a group of friends to the coastal resort of Golden Sands, Bulgaria. It was a typical summer trip for many young Europeans. They stayed at the Viva Club Hotel, drank, swam, and explored the town's lively bar scene. For the first few days, the trip was uneventful. Then things began to shift. One night, Lars got into a verbal argument with some other tourists over football. He supported Werder Bremen, and they supported Bayern Munich. The disagreement allegedly turned into a fight. Lars was separated from his friends and did not return to the hotel that night. When he reappeared the next morning, he claimed to have been assaulted by a group of men, possibly hired by those he had argued with. He was visibly shaken and complained of ear pain. His friends wanted him to visit a doctor, but Lars insisted he was fine. Eventually, he did go to a local medical center. There, he was diagnosed with a ruptured eardrum and advised not to fly until it had healed. The doctor prescribed the antibiotic cefprozil and recommended he stay behind while the others returned to Germany. Lars checked into the Color Varna Hotel, a budget hotel near the airport, intending to fly home once it was safe to do so. His friends departed, and Lars was now alone in Bulgaria. From this point forward, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He called his mother, Sandra, in a panic. In hushed tones, he told her that he was being followed, that 4 men were after him. He asked her to cancel his credit cards. He sent multiple texts throughout the day, short and cryptic. Sandra later said he had never behaved this way before. Later, CCTV footage from the hotel would show Lars pacing the hallways, hiding in an elevator, and ducking into a corner as though avoiding someone. At one point, he left the hotel for an hour, then returned. When asked where he had gone, he said something about needing to find a place to hide. On July 8th, Lars took a taxi to Varna Airport. His mother had booked him a flight home to Hamburg. He texted her from the terminal, saying he had arrived safely and was waiting for the flight. What happened next is captured on security cameras. In the footage, Lars is seen entering the airport, calm and composed. He goes into the medical office to have his ear checked before boarding. Moments later, he abruptly jumps up from the chair and bolts out of the room. Without warning or explanation, he runs out of the terminal, leaving his luggage, passport, and wallet behind. The next cameras capture him sprinting across the parking lot, then over a fence, then into the woods beyond the airport. He has not been seen since. A search was conducted in the surrounding area. Police combed the woods. Dogs were brought in. Flyers were distributed across Bulgaria and in Germany. Nothing turned up. No remains. No clothing. No signs of struggle. His mother continued the search long after the official efforts ended. She appeared in interviews, handed out flyers, and maintained a website with updates and tips. She raised questions about the antibiotic he had been prescribed, wondering if it had caused a rare psychological reaction. Cefprozil, while generally safe, can in rare cases lead to symptoms like anxiety or hallucinations in sensitive individuals. Some speculated that Lars may have suffered from a sudden onset of psychosis. Others believed he had become the target of criminals, perhaps drug traffickers or organ harvesters. But no evidence supported those theories. There were unconfirmed sightings in Romania, then in Poland. A homeless man in Berlin was once mistaken for him. Each lead raised hope, then fell away. Internet communities took up the mystery. Reddit threads, YouTube documentaries, and blogs poured over the surveillance footage. Users analyzed every frame, trying to understand what had frightened him so badly. Was someone really chasing him? Was it all in his mind? One user pointed out that Lars's fear seemed genuine. His flight response was sudden and instinctual, not performative. Others noted that if he were hallucinating, it would be unusual for that to develop so suddenly without prior symptoms. Still, the stress of injury, isolation, and foreign surroundings may have played a role. Investigators interviewed staff at the medical office. One nurse reported that a man had entered the room to perform repairs, prompting Lars to panic. Some theorized that Lars believed the man was connected to those he feared, but the repairman was never identified. and no security footage captured his presence. Another theory involves underground crime in Bulgaria. The region has had issues with organized gangs. Could Lars have witnessed something he shouldn't have? Could his claim of being chased have been true? Yet no evidence has emerged. In the years since, the trail has grown cold. His passport remains unclaimed. His bank account untouched. There have been no verified sightings. His mother still believes he is alive. She maintains the hope that he suffered a breakdown and chose to disappear. That perhaps he is living off-grid, unable or unwilling to return. The disappearance of Lars Mittank remains one of the internet's most puzzling unsolved mysteries. Because unlike deep web legends or coded puzzles, this one is grounded in reality. A real person. A real video. A real mystery. And yet, it leaves behind the same haunting silence. Let us now close this final chapter and drift softly away from airport corridors and distant forests. Somewhere, a question still echoes beneath the rustle of leaves and the hush of terminal announcements. A question without an answer. Where is Lars Mittank? Thank you for joining the Sleepy Detective. If these mysteries helped you unwind or sparked a quiet sense of wonder, consider subscribing. The internet holds many forgotten stories. Some are strange. Some are sad. All are fragments of something still unfinished. There are more tales to explore when you're ready. Until next time, rest gently. Stay curious, and may the silence between signals bring you peace.